Shalom. We're going to start off saying Kah Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Harakah Kadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Erewhon as well. Salutations to the archon that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Kanak Salon, Yashar from the Lions and the Yashar camp. And coming with a quick lesson. Our Lord willing to edify and serve his purpose for the hope of the elect, the ones who truly believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. All right, so dealing with the times that we're in, the main concern that should be on our mind is these prophecies and how they're unfolding. And the words of Yahweh Shem Shai coming to pass ultimately. All right, so it was spoken from the beginning and being manifested in the end. So right now I have this particular article, and the article says, Russian foreign minister, U.S. NATO directly involved in Ukraine conflict. All right, so now you have these things called proxy wars, right? And then you have hot wars. Where right now, Russia is claiming that the proxy war that's really been fought over there in Ukraine, when it's the West against Russia, NATO and the United States, but using Ukraine as a proxy, they're saying that America, the United States, and NATO are directly in the war. All right, so we're going to read in that a little bit, but we're going to the definition of proxy war. Proxy war is a war instigated by a major power which does not itself become involved. All right, so now, and that is instigated. It was instigated by Russia. Instigated by NATO, by them trying to annex a bunch of nations towards them to corner or surround Russia, and United States, with all the types of sanctions that they've done with Russia over the past few years, trying to keep Russia at bay so Russia cannot become that powerhouse nation that they once were as the Soviet Union. Right, but according to the Ezekiel 38, Yahweh Shem Shai is going to bring them back to that powerhouse Soviet Union, and to go along with Revelation 13, like who can make war with the beast? Who? And that one that can make war with the beast is the bear, which is Russia. All right. So it says, this article goes in. It says Moscow. It says Russia's foreign minister accused the West on Thursday of becoming directly involved in the conflict in Ukraine by supplying the country with weapons and training its soldiers. Right. So that's the next thing. Next best thing to putting hot troops on the ground. All right, you're giving them intel, insight, strategic abilities, and equipment. So you might as well directly be in the war. All right. It says Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also said that Russian missile strikes on Ukraine energy facilities and other key infrastructures are intended to weaken Ukraine's military potential and derail the shipments of Western weapons. All right. It says, you shouldn't say that the United States and NATO aren't taking part in this war. You are directly participating in it, Lavrov said in a video call with reporter. Said in a video call with reporters. And not just by providing weapons, but also by training personnel. You are training their military on your territory, on the territories of Britain, Germany, Italy, and other countries. He said that the barges of missiles, drones, and artillery fire that have left millions of Ukrainians without power, heating, and water was intended to knock out energy facilities that allow you to keep pumping deadly weapons into Ukraine in order to kill the Russians. So now they're saying the Ukrainians that being without power, the reason why they're out without power is America's fault, man, because these power plants and energy facilities are the facilities that they're using to provide aid to Ukraine. So it's a strategic measure for Russia to bomb those places, man. All right. So because of the fact, so now, but then they point the finger at Russia, right? They point the finger at Russia, saying, "Hey, you're doing this and you're harming the people. Now people without power, and this, that, and the third." But it's also, but you know, that's just the narrative that the United States try to paint as everybody else being the bad guy, but they do nothing. They throw rocks and hide their hand while they're living in a glass house, you know? It's like, hold on. So now, so provoking people, and act as if they're the bully and acts as if they're being bullied or coming to the rescue as a savior. And they have the rest of the world thinking that, oh, America's so great, they're doing this, that, and the third. When actuality, they're the ones oppressing and bringing all this hardship to the people. You know, the article says the infrastructure that is targeted by those attacks is used to ensure that the combat potential of Ukrainian armed forces and the national battalions, Leverov said. It says Ukraine and the West have accused Russia of targeting key civilian infrastructures in order to reduce morale. Because Ukraine's people caused Ukraine's people to suffer during the winter and to force the government in Kiev into peace talks on Moscow's terms. All right, but actually this is America doing it, the United States. It says, as a matter of fact, let me keep going. It says the southern city of Kherson, which Russia's forces seized in the opening days of the conflict and withdrew from last month, is among the places targeted. Russian shelling on Thursday cut off power in the recently liberated cities just days after it was restored. Weeks before the pullback allowed Ukrainian forces to reclaim Kherson. Russia declared the entire Kherson region part of its territory, along with 3 other regions following hastily called referendums that Ukraine and the West rejected as shams. All right, it says, ask how the strikes on the infrastructure in Kherson and other areas comply with Moscow's stated goal of protecting Ukraine's Russian-speaking people. Right, so they would be attacking their own people if they were trying to forcefully attack. But what they're trying to say is they're not attacking their people. They're attacking what America is doing over there in those regions. All right, so Leverov responded by drawing parallels with the Battle of Stalingrad during World War II. The city of Stalingrad also was part of our territory, and we beat the Germans to make them flee, he said. Leverov insisted that Moscow remains open for talks on ending the conflict. We never asked for talks, but always said that we are ready to listen to those who are interested in a negotiation settlement, he said. The Kremlin has urged Ukraine to acknowledge Crimea, which Moscow annexed from Ukraine in 2014, remember that, all right, as part of Russia, and recognize other land gains that Russia has made since sending its troops in Ukraine on February 24th. So basically, this is in Ezekiel 38 unfolding, them being brought back to the original Soviet Union that it once was. And that's what NATO and America doesn't want. You know, they don't want China to become a superpower, Russia to become a superpower, and definitely not Italy, but Iran. They don't want them to become a superpower, or North Korea. But these are all countries that are going to alliance themselves together to come against the great whore Babylon the Great. All right. It says it also has pushed for guarantees that Ukraine wouldn't join NATO, along with vaguely formulated demilitarization of the Nazification goals. Asked if a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Joe Biden was possible. Lavrov replied, "We don't shun contact," but added that we haven't yet heard any serious ideas yet. So they saying like they'll be willing to talk, but everybody playing, and they're trying to play it as if Russia's the problem, but they haven't heard any talks that's going anywhere remotely near their favor. And the whole thing is to bring back the people that are Russians right to Russia and create and reform the Soviet Union as it once was. All right. It says Lavrov said U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has raised the issue of United States citizens in prison in Russia in a phone call, but he noted that Putin and Biden agreed to set up a separate channel of communication between special services to discuss the issue when they meet in Geneva in June 2020, met in Geneva in June 2021. It's working, I hope, that some result will be achieved, he said. The Biden administration has tried for months to negotiate the release of WNBA star Brittany Garner. They don't even know what the hell going on with her. They don't even know where she's at, I heard. And other American jailed in Russia. Michigan Corporate Secretary Executive Paul Whelan, including through a possible prisoner swap with Moscow. Commenting on Russia's decision to postpone a round of nuclear arms control talks with the United States that was scheduled for this week, Lavrov maintained it's possible to discuss strategic stabilities nowadays while ignoring everything that is happening in Ukraine. It says the goal has been announced to defeat Russia on the battlefield or destroy Russia, he said. And everybody thinks it's the other way around. And that's the United States painting the narrative to have justification for the oppression and the imposing of the will on these other countries like we've always been doing. It says the goal has been announced to defeat Russia on the battlefield or even destroy Russia, he said. How can the goal of defeating Russia not bear significance or strategy stability, considering that they want to destroy a key strategic stability actor? So, because if you take away Russia, what Russia is saying that you take us away, you're taking away ultimate peace from the earth because there's nobody else that's going to stand up against America and against their bullying and call them out for what they're doing. All right. So for what Russia is saying from a global safety standpoint, that Russia still needs to be around to keep America at bay. It says during the online news conference that lasted for 2.5 hours, Lavrov railed against the United States and its NATO allies, accusing them of trampling on international law while trying to isolate and destroy Russia. And that's exactly what they did when they were in the Soviet Union and crushed them down into Russia. They're trying to crush them down even more into power. He claimed the United States has tried to discourage our countries, including India, from maintaining close ties with Russia, but those attempts have failed. All right. So those attempts have failed. So ultimately, it's to isolate Russia and put them on their own. But, the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, is controlling all of these things, man. All right? This is all going according to prophecy. And it's leading up to the salvation of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, elect of the children of Israel, the ones that speckled bird that may look like these other nations, right? And bring them to their own land and take them out of their captivity and bring peace and order and the kingdoms established by Yahweh Shai on earth, man. All right, so I want to get a scripture cleared out, and I want to get Matthew 24:6. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Right, so the end is not yet. So we're waiting on the ultimate prophecy of the MOTB being implemented, on a mass scale and being forced upon people or persuaded, however it goes. All right, verse 7, it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. All right, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All right, and we've been seeing that over the past few years, man. And we see it increase and escalate over time more and more and more. It's like the elder said and made a great point in one of his lessons. He said, man, the elect are closer to get sealed. And as soon as the elect are sealed, you're going to see these prophecies kick out really quick, man. Verse 8, it says, all these are the beginning of sorrows, man. So, all right, so these are the beginning of sorrows, but it's going to ultimately, you know, the sorrows, it's going to be joyful for the ones that are of the elect, because while everybody's weeping around and moaning, the elect are going to be rejoicing in Yahweh Shem Shai. It says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. You're witnessing that now, how they're trying to publicly scrutinize anybody that tries to claim to be of the children of Israel. And this particular thing already happened, but you know, you can look for these types of things to happen again. All right, verse 10, it says, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and hate one another. All right, and many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. All right, and you see that happening, like, you know, because now it's a faddish thing to be an Israelite now. Everybody feels like they know the truth, but nobody's really speaking prophecy, man. All right, if you're speaking of the word of Yahweh Shem Shai, you're going to be speaking of prophecy, man. Verse 12, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Right, man, there's no love. How did Black Eyed Peas say, where's the love, the love, the love? You're not finding it right now. All right, you're going to see the hearts of the people shall wax worse and worse. All right, I want to end it out with this. All right, no, I'm going to end it up with verse 14. It says, but he that shall endure until the end shall be saved. Right, and those are the ones that are going to hold on to the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai all the way to the end. All right, it says, this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached into all worlds, in all the world, for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. All right, so the faster we keep, the more we keep pushing, the more we keep working. All right, the faster we get out of here, man. It says, you know, the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. So pray to Yahweh Shem Shai for more laborers, man. We got to get out here and do this work in sincerity and truth and prophesy unto the nations, gathering up the elect and letting the judgment over to these other nations, 2/3 of our people. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and serve his purpose. With that, I'd like to say, Ka Halayim, like Yahweh, Ba Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba Shem, Hakakadash, Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostle of the great millstone and my elder Harold one as well. Salutations to the archon that are pushing the truth, the sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.